All right, so here we're going to be looking at the area and perimeter of compound shapes. Now, compound shapes are shapes that might look a little like this, where you have, in this case, an L shape that's made up of two or more shapes that we can find the areas of much more easily. So there's one example, or here's another. We could cut the shape in multiple ways to turn it into two rectangles that we can deal with a bit more easily. And that's how we're going to tackle finding the area of these shapes. But let's talk about perimeter first, because perimeter is normally fairly straightforward. We just add up all the lengths around the outside. However, in this example, we don't have all the lengths around the outside, so we have to work some of them out before we can add them all together to get the perimeter. We're missing this height up the left-hand side, and we're missing part of the width across the top here. But if we deal with that height first, we can work out the height of the whole shape by taking this 4 centimeters, which is the height of this section, and the 3 centimeters here, which is the height of the other section. And if that part's 4 and this part's 3, then the height of the entire shape must be 7 centimeters. It's just 3 plus 4. And we can do something similar with the width. We're missing this width across the top here, but we know the width of the whole shape is 10 centimeters. So if we know that this part is 6 and the whole width is 10, then this part has to be 4 centimeters, because that's what's missing from the width to make the entire width 10. So 4 plus 6 is 10, so this has to be 4. And then we can find the perimeter by just adding up all those lengths around the outside. We would do 4 plus 3 plus 6 plus 4 plus 10 plus 7, which equals 34. So the perimeter would be 34 centimeters. Now for the area, we know how to find the area of rectangles, but unfortunately we have something more complicated than a rectangle here. We've got this compound shape where we can split it into rectangles by dividing the shape. So there are a couple different ways we could split it, but the first way that I see is by drawing a line down here. Now we've done that, we have a rectangle on the left and a rectangle on the right, and those we can deal with. So the way we're going to find the area is by finding the area of this left-hand rectangle, finding the area of this right-hand rectangle, and then adding them together. The left-hand rectangle is 4 centimeters wide and 7 centimeters high. So the height is just going to be 4 times 7, which is 28. And this right-hand rectangle, we just have to think a bit more carefully, because we need to know the width of the smaller rectangle. And it looks initially like it would be 10 centimeters, but that's the width of our entire shape. The width of this part of the rectangle is only 6. So the area is going to be 6 times 4, which is 24 centimeters. So altogether, the area is 28 centimeters plus 24 centimeters, which is 52, centimeters squared, because it's area. It's got to be centimeters squared. Let's have a look at another example, but this time we're just going to find the area. When we split this shape into shapes we can deal with a bit better, it's going to end up being a rectangle and a triangle this time. But we do exactly the same thing. We'll find the area of the left-hand side first by doing 6 times 9, and 6 times 9 is 54. And then to find the area of this triangle, we know we have to do base times height and then divide by 2 because it's a triangle, but we don't actually have the base, we don't have the width across the bottom. But we can use similar methods than what we did earlier to find the missing side, to find what this length has to be. Because we know the width of our entire shape is 15 centimeters, and we know that the rectangle part of it is 9 wide, which means this has to be 6 centimeters wide, because 9 plus 6 equals the 15. So then we can find the area of this part by doing the width, which is 6, times the height, which is also 6, and then dividing that by 2. 6 times 6 is 36, divided by 2 is 18. So the area is going to be 54 plus 18, which is 72. And again, this time it's meters. So it's meters squared this time, which means over here I should have put meters. Yeah, 72 meters squared. And one final example, again, I'll just do area for this one, just to show you that there's a different way that you can sometimes work it out if it's helpful. So this shape we see here, we could split it, we could cut across here, we could cut across here, and then find the 3 areas and add them all together. I want to do this one differently. This time I want to find the area of this entire rectangle as if it didn't have this part cut out. I'll then find the area of the bit that has been cut out, and then I'll subtract it from the larger area. So to start with, we need that larger area, which is going to be 20 times 15, so width times height, and 20 times 15 is 300. That's the area of this big white space, but it's had this rectangle taken out of it. So next I need to find the area of the rectangle that's been taken out. which is base times height, 8 times 5, which is 40. So the area of the part that I'm actually looking for, the area of the big white part with the rectangle taken out, is going to be the area of the big white part subtract the rectangle that was taken out. So it's going to be 260 meters squared, because it's meters again this time. So that's area and perimeter of compound shapes. Perimeter, we only did the one example because it is just adding up around the outside, but you do need to remember that key skill of finding the missing sides if they haven't given you all of them. And for area, you're going to take your shape and split it into usually rectangles, but sometimes triangles, that you can work out the area of a bit more easily. So there's a couple of questions there, which if you like, you can have a go at if you want to pause the video and give those a try, or you can just leave it playing as I talk through the answers. So pause here if you want to have a go, and I'm going to talk through. So we want the perimeter and area of this shape, so we're going to need to find all these missing lengths. The width of our shape is 6 centimeters, and if this part is 2 centimeters, that means this side has to be 4. And we're also missing this little height here. And again, we know the height of our entire shape is 4 centimeters, and we know that this part of it is 1, which means this part has to be 3 centimeters, because 1 plus 3 equals 4. So to get the perimeter, we just add all the way around the outside. We've got 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. That's all the way around, and that comes to 20. Now, it says state the units of your answer. These are all in centimeters. Perimeter is just a length, so it's centimeters. And now for area, there's a couple of different ways we can split up this shape, but the first way that I see is to cut it down like there, so I'm going to do that. The area of this smaller section over here is base times height, 1 times 2, which is 2. And the area of this section, again, be careful because the width isn't 6, the width is only 4, as we saw across the top. We know that this is 4 across the top, so it's 4 across the bottom. So base times height is 4 times 4, which is 16, which makes the area the 2 plus the 16, which is 18. Again, this was all in centimeters, so the area is going to be in centimeters squared. And finally, we have an area of another trapezium, another triangle and square and rectangle added together. And I'm going to split it across here, like that. We can find the area of this rectangle at the bottom by doing 11 times 5, base times the height, which is 55. And then to find the area of the triangle, we need to do base, which is 11, times the height. Now, we don't have the height because 9 is the height of the entire shape, not the height of the triangle. But we know that the height of the rectangle is 5, and if the height of the entire shape is 9, that means that this part has to be 4. So the area of this part of our shape is base times height, which is 44, divided by 2, because it's a triangle, which is 22. So the area of the entire shape is the area of the triangle plus the area of the rectangle, which is 77. Now, we need to take the units of our answer. Everything was in meters, and this is an area, so it's meters squared. So that's finding the area and perimeter of compound shapes. Compound shapes are just shapes that are made up of 2 or more sort of more basic shapes, like rectangles and triangles. You want to find the perimeter by adding up all the way around the outside, like normal. Sometimes you'll have to find some of the lengths around the outside if they're not given to you. And to find the area of compound shapes, you just split it into those more straightforward shapes, like rectangles and triangles. Find the areas of those parts separately and then add them together. But do just be careful that you take the correct width of your rectangles and don't accidentally take the width of the entire shape instead of just the width of the part you're finding the area of. And that's area and perimeter of compound shapes. Hope that helps.